gestured toward a body lying on a stretcher. "This is the latest victim," the captain said grimly. "We found him in the poor district. He was alive when we got there, but he died soon after." Taryn set down her satchel and steeled herself. Her academic curiosity warred with the nausea churning in her stomach. She lifted the sheet. The victim's chest had been partially opened, revealing blackened veins. A series of cryptic shapes stretched across the abdomen, carved with macabre precision. Her voice quivered. "May I—" The captain gave a curt nod. Taryn leaned in and traced the symbols carefully, comparing them in her mind to what she'd seen on the ancient tablets. Several matched the jagged script describing the devourer. Others seemed more elaborate, possibly part of a longer incantation. She took out a parchment and sketched them. "These runes talk about an entity named Morthodiel," she said at last, her voice subdued. "In the old legends, he's called the Devourer of Light, a cataclysmic presence sealed away by an order of guardians centuries, maybe millennia, ago. The partial inscription here reads something like, 'The coming eclipse,' or 'The eclipse.'" She paused. "I'm not fluent in the entire dialect, but the gist is that a specific point in time, likely an eclipse, grants this entity the power to breach its prison." The captain scowled. "We have no eclipse scheduled on our star charts anytime soon. Are you sure it means a literal eclipse?" Taryn exhaled, uncertain. "There are different references. Some describe a physical eclipse of the sun. Others speak of a metaphorical eclipse, like a wave of darkness that descends. Either way, if these cultists believe that time is near, we should assume they're actively preparing to free Morthodiel." The guard's posture stiffened. "Then we must notify the city council." "Agreed." Taryn placed her hand on the victim's cold wrist, sorrow flooding her. "Many more will die if we don't figure out how to stop them." Before the captain could reply, a commotion broke out in the hallway. Someone shouted, "Let me through!" and the door crashed open. Seren strode in, twin swords clanking on her back, dried black blood staining her coat sleeves. Her gaze darted from the captain to Taryn. "What the hell is going on here?" Seren demanded. Though her voice was edged with anger, Taryn detected an undercurrent of desperation. "I could ask you the same," the captain snapped. "We're in the midst of an investigation." "I'm Seren," she said, ignoring the captain's attempt at authority. "Demon Hunter, you need me if you plan on surviving this." Taryn, startled by Serene's entrance, nonetheless recognized the name. Word travelled quickly in the city's underbelly. "You fought one of those things tonight?" Taryn asked quietly. Serene met her gaze. "Yes, it was branded with runes, like the ones you're studying." "You're Taryn, the scholar who knows about these cults?" "I am." Taryn stepped forward. Her voice trembled slightly, but she forced her composure. "From what I've pieced together, we're dealing with an ancient entity called Morthodiel. These runes are part of a summoning process, some prophecy about an impending darkness." Seren's eyes hardened. "Then we need to figure out where these bastards operate and stop them. I've been chasing rumours of a cult that calls itself the Kyrians. If they manage to complete this ritual, it won't be just Aurelia in danger, it'll be everywhere." The captain seemed briefly unsettled, but her authority reasserted itself. "You two, if you have leads, I'm all ears. The guard is stretched thin. We can't handle monstrous creatures that shrug off normal weapons, and with fear spreading, the council is sitting on its hands." Seren exchanged a glance with Taryn. For a moment they shared the unspoken recognition that both were far out of their comfort zones. But they had no choice. "The morgue is filled with victims," Seren said, addressing Taryn. "Some bore the same runic brand. Others were twisted beyond recognition. But I saw one specifically that reeked of necromancy. If you can decipher these inscriptions, we might glean how close they are to this coming eclipse." Taryn nodded, rubbing the exhaustion from her eyes. "I'll need to check the city's hidden archives if I can get permission. Maybe cross-reference these tablets with older texts. If the council tries to block me, I'll find another way. The captain opened her mouth to protest the mention of forbidden archives, but Seren cut her off. Either you support us, or we go around you. But do it fast. Every night more bodies show up. A grim silence draped the room. The battered walls seemed to close in, as if listening to their grim vow. The captain finally relented. Fine. I'll try to smooth things with the council. But we need results, or Aurelia may not have a dawn. She turned her gaze to Taryn. Scholar, what do you need? Taryn's mind raced. Access to every record you have about the city's founding, plus any off-limits lore about demon worship and sealed evils. And I may need to speak to the seers of Aurelia's underground library. Seren snorted. If they're even still alive. That place is rumoured to be half forgotten. It's a start, Taryn replied. Then, quietly, she added, I just wish we had more time. Serene's expression was fierce. Time is a luxury we don't have. We move tonight. Outside the guard post, the city seemed emptier than before. The world around them felt caught in a breathless pause before a deadly storm. Serene and Taryn walked side by side, their footfalls echoing over damp cobblestones. Taryn clutched her satchel protectively. If these tablets are right, Morthadeel needs a mortal anchor. Someone or a group of someones performing the summoning rituals. The murders might be fueling that ritual or feeding him strength somehow. Serene stared at the sky. Clouds had drifted across the moon, casting everything in a flat, grey pall. Then we hit them where it hurts, track down their lair, cut off their heads before they bring this Morthadeel out. Taryn managed a small, mirthless smile. Serene's direct approach was almost comforting in its simplicity. But Taryn knew the complexities of ancient magic could rarely be solved by a blade alone. So, do you have a plan? She ventured. Plans are for generals. I hunt. But if we're going to do more than hack at the darkness, we'll need your knowledge. Seren paused, searching Taryn's face. This is bigger than anything I've faced. I can sense it. I can kill whatever's in front of me, but not if I'm blind. Taryn felt a flicker of determination. We'll uncover the answers, she said, more to convince herself. But we should be prepared for what we might find. The cult's magic could be unstoppable once it reaches a certain point. Seren's voice grew tight. Nothing's unstoppable. I'll die before I let them unleash that thing on our world. They continued in silence to the next block, where a pair of exhausted guards struggled to move a corpse onto a cart. The city's heartbreak was everywhere. Taryn felt her resolve crystallize. She had studied dusty tomes all her life, in search of knowledge that might prevent tragedies like these. For once, she felt her research truly mattered. In the distance, an alley cat cried. The wind carried the scent of 1,000 unspoken horrors. Aurelia's towering spires and winding streets no longer promised safety or civilization. They were the backdrop for a war about to erupt. Seren glanced at Taryn. We don't know each other well, but we're in this together. At least until we figure out how to stop them. Taryn clutched her satchel tighter. She thought of the strange runes carved onto flesh, the archaic language of the tablets, and the references to a cosmic event that spelled doom. Yes, she said softly, her breath misting in the cold air. Together. They left the guard post behind, stepping into the uncertain night. A demon hunter and a scholar, each carrying parts of a puzzle that might hold the fate of Aurelia. Above them, clouds drifted across the face of the moon like a drawn curtain, and the wind whispered of things beyond mortal comprehension. The prophecy had already begun, and the first move of an ancient evil was in motion.